So something Malmo did that was really obvious is they moved their right central midfielder out to be almost on the same line as their right wing back, Birgit. And knowing that Scott Arfield in this position wouldn't go over and pressure until the possession was switched over. But what happened when possession was switched over, as we've spoken about for the first goal, was that Arfield wasn't probably as quick as he'd have liked to be. So momentum kind of was granted to this midfielder here. He's able to find Birgit, and he took Arfield into this space as Birgit came inside, allowed him the momentum to get away from Barisic. And the vertical runs came in and the goal came from that. So one thing that Rangers will need to be wary from tomorrow, if and when Malmo have spells of possession, and I do think they'll play quite differently away from home, is to make sure that either they need to be over really quickly and aggressively to prevent either this ball down here and shuttle back across, as does probably Ryan Kent in this position, to continue possession to go around Rangers is allowed to go through them. Or if they are going to allow possession to go around them, they need to have a bit more of a shape in here and protect this space, because this space is how Malmo got in, got the vertical runs across and ultimately pulled the defence across for the first goal. Rangers will also have to be wary that Malmo aren't able to pull the whole defence out of shape with vertical runs because of the way they line up. So because they were in a variation of a 3-5-2, what happened was the two central defenders were occupied by the two centre forwards who made vertical runs here for the first goal. Christensen, the captain, came forward from midfield and came off the shoulder of Lundstrom, who was eventually picked up by Tavernier, but again came all the way over here, either with a view of trying to exploit the space that was being made through these vertical runs, or with a view of opening up this space for the run to come in and seeks to score from the back post. So what Rangers will have to do with this is either make sure that Lundstrom is quicker, whoever's in the right central midfield role is quicker to pick up this run in behind if Malmo do try and overload and pull the Rangers defence out of shape and then exploit the space at the back. Or what they'll have to do is just have one of their central midfielders drop in a little bit, either go with the runner, which would allow, if Lundstrom went with the runner in the first place, which would allow Tavernier to retain the kind of defensive depth and width at the back post. And if they did that as well, that would allow Rangers to have someone occupied in this area, so that the first goal again doesn't happen. Now Rangers obviously need a goal if they want to go through and stay in the tie, but what they need to be wary of is that they don't allow themselves to be caught 3-on-3 with the Malmo front three again. So what happened for the second goal last Tuesday in Sweden was James Tavernier played the ball into, and it wasn't the best of balls, into Stephen Davis. Christensen was able to nick in front of him, get the other side of him, and by the time he was the other side of him, Malmo were actually 3-on-2. Tavernier wasn't quick enough back in, neither was Barisic, and they were able to score. So I think in these situations, especially if Malmo were, this looked to be a little bit of a pressing trigger for Malmo. They seemed to know that Rangers were going to build up on a single pivot, without Glenn Kamara, maybe to provide a little bit more depth to Rangers' progression, because neither Lundstrom or Arfield, who were playing in these two roles, neither of them are that comfortable in this role, I would say, as much. Lundstrom's displayed a little bit of it, but I'd still see he's more comfortable driving with the ball forward, and Arfield's obviously more comfortable making these late runs into the box and linking up this way to progress the ball, which meant that you didn't have the Glenn Kamara support in there to relieve pressure, to take the ball in pressurised situations, and I think Malmo knew that, and that's why the second goal came about. So what Rangers will need to be wary of is either just retaining their defensive depth a little bit with maybe Borna Barisic at left back, whoever plays in this central midfield role, even if it may be Joe Aribo, maybe he has to come in and play a slightly deeper role. They need to make sure that Stephen Davis isn't isolated again, because in this situation, he could do nothing about it. It was a bad ball from Tavernier. Christensen was able to nick in. And then once Malmo were 3-on-2 in this situation, there's little Rangers can do.